And hello, and welcome to part 2 of a 3-part series on how to make successful export sales by diversifying your market. Here, I'm Peter Harriman. I'll get into who I am in a second. But if you're here, you're looking at a 3-part series, FYI, with the first part was getting into like why to export, the reasons to export, the need to plan. It really got into what the international business plan was, and some resources that were out there, including some resources that would help you find your market and or explore a little further into some of those questions that the International Business Plan highlighted. Now, there is a recording available of that one that you can certainly find on our channel. And we are now into part 2 of this series. And with us today is going to be the Maine International Trade Center. They're going to give us some common terms and some common costs that are involved with the international trade. Not only that, Maine International Trade Center is probably one of the best, if not the best, resource for businesses to go to get help with international trade, right? And I'm not gonna go into any more because I don't want to ruin the surprise as they are talking. And as I said, it's a 3-part series. So part number 3 that is going to come up this time next week, so next Thursday at 10, is going to be the financing. So we're going to get a bank on and we're going to look at how to actually close the deal, some of the financing that might be available, and we're going to wrap up with looking back at the international business plan and how everything wraps together. So again, the series that we're putting together was really put together to try to help small businesses in particular who are thinking about exporting. You know, they're already existing, but they're thinking about getting to that next step by exporting and how to get started, right? So a copy of these slides can be available upon request. And as I said, this is being recorded. So who are we, or who am I briefly? My name is Peter Harriman. I'm with the Maine Small Business Development Center. I'm hosted by the University of Southern Maine. We are certified business advisors, and what we do is we offer free business advising to Maine businesses and entrepreneurs, whether you're just starting business or you're already in business. This can include business planning, business startups, credit and financing, you name it. If it has anything to do with business, we try to really get into it. And that includes new things that come up, right? Because we have the economic injury disaster loans, we have the PPP, we have the Maine Economic Recovery Grants, the Community Development Block Grants, the Shuttered Venue Operating Grants, and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, and LMNOP of a whole bunch of other programs that came out specifically for COVID. So as I said, with the Maine Small Business Development Center, if it's something to do with the business environment that affects small businesses, we try to really get in there, understand it, and help be your advising source so that you can understand it and focus on your business and growing. What we don't do is provide tax, legal, or accounting advice, right? We will oftentimes let you know what we've seen in the real world or what we've experienced, because a lot of us own our own businesses as well. But during our session, we'll probably say, you know, at this point, you should probably ask a lawyer or ask an accountant, and that's fine. So just keep that in mind. We do have advisors, and pre-COVID, we were meeting one-on-one. And if you look at the map, you can see that more than likely there is an office somewhere near you, right? And our advisors come with an experience either in school and or they have their own businesses. So our team is really great. I'm not just saying that because I'm part of the team. We really do have a good team in there. If you are looking to get advising, you would just go to our website, which the link is up there. And on the top right, you have a request advising button. So you can just click that, fill out a really quick form, and usually we get in touch with you fairly soon to set up an appointment. As I said, with COVID, it's usually Zoom or a telephone call at this point, but eventually we will be meeting in person. So with that being said, I am going to bring it over and have one of the representatives from the Maine International Trade Center kind of take it away.
So hi, I am Billy Carey. I'm the Trade Information Specialist at the Maine International Trade Center. Basically what that means is that me and my team do a bunch of research for Maine companies on any international trade questions they may have. The Maine International Trade Center was founded in 1996 by the Maine State Legislature. We are a partial state, partially privately funded organization. We have a mandate to assist all companies in the state. So we do have membership as well, but come to us and we will help you for free to start. All right, what does international trade mean to Maine? So more than 95% of the world's population and 80% of the world's purchasing power are outside of the US. You probably went over some of this information in the first presentation, but these are kinds of reasons why you might want to expand your business into international. Trade-related jobs grew 11 times faster than total employment in Maine during the same time period. International trade supports over 171,000, more than 1 in 5 Maine jobs. And did you know that foreign-owned companies employ over 34,000 Maine workers? There are lots of companies in the state that you may not think of as being foreign-owned, but are. A lot of Canadian companies own businesses in Maine, as well as other countries. Over 2,000 Maine companies exported $2.7 billion in goods and services to over 176 markets in 2019. So you'll see in a couple of slides where Maine businesses primarily export. I give the top 10, but really Maine companies are exporting products and services all over the world. All right, growing Maine's economy, trade assistance. So this is primarily what my focus is at the company. So our top export markets are Canada, China, Germany, Hong Kong, Italy. Top exports, lobster. These are by dollar value. So lobster is our most expensive export. Then you get into electronics and aircraft parts. And in 2000, I believe this is 2019, but it's pretty similar for 2020 as well. We assisted more than 300 companies across the state. All right, what are the top 10 Maine exports? Again, this is just more of a visual on what we exported in 2020, again, by dollar value. So you can see lobster is top there. Aircraft parts, we have computer parts or semiconductors. Fuel tends to pass through the state, but is still considered an export. Wood, paper, again, computer parts, and we go further down. Where do Maine companies export? So you can see primarily Canada. Why? Because Canada's right there. They speak the same language we do. They have a lot of very similar customs that we do, and they can be easy to do business with. There are some things, though, that you need to know about exporting to Canada. You can't just drive your goods across the border. You will get stopped. All right, so one way that we find a lot of small businesses begin exporting or begin thinking about export is because they receive a foreign inquiry into their products through their domestic website. So what do? How do you start to explore whether or not you want to try to fulfill this order and whether you want to get into exporting as part of your business plan? All right, first, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Assess the situation. Can you handle an order of this size? Is this going to be a big strain on your company? You may not want to put that strain into a foreign export to begin with. Consider your production schedule, shipping costs, and potential payment delays because it's going through a foreign payment process. Do you know anything about the inquiring company? Is this somebody that you met at a trade show? Or is this a company that is just reaching out that you've never heard of before? And are they a real company? How do you confirm this? Do you need help? And do you know where to find that help? So we can help you a lot. SBDC can help you a lot, but we also have referral lists for further help. As Peter mentioned, we're not going to help you with the legal. We're not going to help you with the finance directly. We do have lists of referral partners that can help with those things. Okay, so contact MITC, Maine International Trade Center, for counseling on various different issues. Is it legal to do business in this market? Is it legal to sell the product in that market? The US has controls on certain goods to be exported out of the United States. We can help you with that. And are there quotas in the foreign nation? Is there a limit to how much that foreign nation can import of your product? Again, do you know your buyer? We can assist you with partners that can do international credit reports and background checks. Are you ready? Things to think about. So how are you going to get paid? Are you willing to modify your product packaging for market-specific concerns? So thinking again about Canada, Quebec requires that you have French on your packaging as well as English. Is this something that you're willing to modify and pay those upfront costs to modify your packaging in order to get into the foreign market? How large will your shipment be and how are you planning on shipping it? And are you willing to prepare extra documentation for foreign customs? Again, it's not just putting it on a boat. You're going to have to fill out a lot of documentation in order to get it into the foreign country as well as out of hours. All right, so payment, you're going to go over a bunch more payment stuff with an actual bank in the next session. These are just, again, some very basic payment arrangements. So PayPal, credit cards, wire transfers, foreign drafts, and letters of credit. Preparing your product for shipment. So again, is it labeled properly for international markets? Again, is it in the correct language? Do you need metric labeling for where it's going, metric packaging, country-specific labeling requirements based on cultures, ingredients, health claims? Does it need halal or a kosher certificate? And then here we get into, again, some of the logistics considerations and where you're going to incur some cost. So if you see my little line there, this is an Incoterms graphic. Incoterms are international commercial terms. And what that means is at which point in this process is the seller responsible for the goods? And at which point does the buyer take over responsibility for the goods? So you see your seller's factory. So there you go, there's your business. You will determine this with your buyer in your contract if it's a large enough shipment that you have a specified contract. You will determine who is responsible for the product at which point. So if you are just responsible for getting it to the ship, then you will pay for your on-land carrier to get it to the port. You may be responsible for paying for it to get onto the vessel. So you'll have to pay any time that your container will sit at the port. You may have to pay something called demurrage. And then you may have to pay stevedores to get it on your vessel. And then if your buyer takes over at that point, they will take care of paying for it, off the boat to their warehouse or door. So again, this is something that you would sort out with your buyer, but all of these steps incur some sort of cost and documentation to get them into the next step. All right, here's a term for you. So freight forwarders. So a freight forwarder is somebody that you can hire to assist you with this process. You can hire them, give them power of attorney to fill out all of your export documentation for you and book your shipment. So they'll act as your travel agent for your freight and get it to where it needs to go. A shipper's letter of instruction is something that your freight forwarder will ask you to fill out. And so this is specifying exactly what your product is. It's specifying where exactly it's going. And it will probably include the Incoterms as well for at what point your freight forwarder is responsible for it for you. Electronic export information, or an EEI, is something that the US government requests you to fill out if you have a shipment of $2,500 or more. And so this actually goes towards our census data so that we know how products are leaving the country and what products are leaving the country. That's how I pulled all of that data earlier on how much lobster is being exported and to where, was because people are filling out this EEI documentation. Seller or exporter. So you as the seller are also the exporter. Or if you are importing and you're the buyer, you could be the importer of record. So again, that is something that you are, it's telling you who is responsible for the goods at what point. A customs official is the US government employee who is inspecting shipments and making sure at the port or at the border that your products are what you say they are and that all of your proper documentation is filled out for them. Versus a customs broker, who is somebody that you would hire to help you import and help you fill out the documentation needed in order to import goods into the US, or that your buyer would hire to help them import the goods into their foreign country from the US. All right, more on international shipping. Again, this is my specialty and this is kind of what I enjoy, so. All right, commercial retail shippers. So if you're shipping things that are fairly small or you ship frequently, checking out UPS, FedEx, and DHL are great first options. They have customs brokers on staff in multiple different countries, and so they will make the process much more fluid and help you just fill out documentation quickly at the beginning and take it from there. Freight forwarders, as I said before, are larger companies that you would individually hire to work as your shipping company to help you get it on a vessel or an airplane and get it specifically to where you need it to go. This is better for larger and ongoing shipments and things that might be a little bit trickier and that some of the others might not handle. Export documentation. So this is usually prepared by the exporter. It varies from destination to destination. You need to find out what your product harmonized code is. So this is something that we can assist with as well. There is a whole system out there with 95 different chapters. Actually, I think that's 99 different chapters of 10-digit codes that get very specific as descriptions of products. So they start off by chapter heading and then get more and more specific. For instance, the code for live lobster is 030632. And so 03 is the chapter heading, which just means fish and seafood. And then 0306 gets down into crustaceans. And then you get into, more and more detail about the crustacean as the number gets longer and longer. This harmonized code is great because it means that foreign customs officials don't need to be able to translate your descriptions of your product off of your export documentation. They instead just need to look at the code, and then they will understand exactly what your product is. Commercial invoice. So commercial invoice, similar for domestic shipments, but an invoice talking about exactly what is in the shipment. Certificate of origin. So this is proving that this is actually a US made product. There are various different ways in which certificates of origin can be filled out. And again, we can help you with the specifics of that based on what country you're going to. Shippers Export Declaration, AES. Again, this is another it's another name for EEI, and different people use different words for it. Okay, do you have a specific industry or process question? We have a trade specialist for that. So I work with my two senior trade specialists at the Maine International Trade Center. Jeffrey Bennett specializes in Canada. He is our Canada desk director. And he also focuses on food and seafood. Zainab Turk is our study Maine director. So she assists with actually the education industry and attracting foreign students to Maine. She also works in life sciences and biosciences. And then me, this is an old picture, but I do research and logistics and imports as well. Okay, so what else does the Maine International Trade Center do? So we have Global U, which is our practical skills training programming. We actually have coming up a webinar at the same time as the next session of this one, but it is on export compliance, and it is a very intensive compliance seminar meant for experienced exporters. And then we are planning a November, more of a market exploration on exporting or doing business with Africa. So exporting and importing products as well. We also assist Maine companies with going to trade missions and going abroad to trade shows. And we administer the SBA's STEP Financial Assistance Award. This is a grant that companies apply to us for. A company can receive up to $20,000 a year in grant money for this. It is a 75% reimbursable grant at this point. And it can assist with export compliance, marketing consultants, international trade shows or business. It can help people upgrade their websites and web presence to be able to reach international markets, as well as many other things. We also have a grant that is food specific for Food Export USA called the Market Access Program. And that is something that my colleague Jeff Bennett administers as well and can be reached out to for that. The Maine International Trade Center, there are 10 of us that work here, and we have focused initiatives as well as our daily just Maine international trade information. So we have Defense Industry Maine, which focuses on the defense industry. MINATO, which is the Maine North Atlantic Development Office, that focuses on the markets that AIMSKIP, the Icelandic shipping company out of Portland, calls on. Invest in Maine, which is business attraction, foreign business attraction to the state. And Study Maine, which is foreign student attraction to the state. So this is us, also an older photo, but how can we help your business? We are available all the time via email and from 8:30 to 5 by phone. So please reach out at any point if you have any questions. And Peter, I will send it back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I guess one of the things to make clear, one of the biggest questions I get from clients is when exactly, at what point is it appropriate to contact the Maine International Trade Center? Like when am I a small business when I say, oh, now it's a time to give them a call?
Well, we can definitely help people at any point after you have a business and a business plan. So we don't really assist when people have an idea for an international business. That's really much more for people like SBA or SBDC who can assist with creating a business plan. There are a lot of partners that assist with that. And so we will assist once you have an established business and need assistance finding a market, doing market research, all the way up to traveling to a market, getting business matchmaking set up in a foreign market, and all of that.
Right. In part one, we went over some ways to find a market, but if you have a business, the Maine International Trade Center, correct me if I'm wrong, also has their own resources to help find markets for your products as well. Really?
Yes, we do. We have trade associates and research associates that are here to help. Basically, we understand that you are spending 9 to 5 running your business, and you might not have time to do all of this online research into markets. So you can come to us, ask us questions about it, and we will write full reports for you on what market might be best for your product, or if you're looking at a market, taxes and tariffs that you can expect going into that market, and other things like that.
And one of the final questions is there any piece of advice you'd give a business that's thinking about doing exports?
Go for it. I mean, you're going to learn a lot in your first shipment, and we're here for you, and we're here for you to do the research and get ready for it as much as you can beforehand. And again, we have all of these partners lined up and different referrals that if you need legal advice or you need logistics support, we can refer people to you directly. But definitely don't be scared off by the international market, and take your time. Let it be something that you don't have to rush shipment for. Expect it to take a little bit longer than you think it will initially, and just be ready to learn on that first shipment.
Thanks. Yeah, there's two things, unfortunately, I've learned about business. It always takes longer and costs more. And that's any part of business, not just exporting, but exporting is no exception, right? So as long as you properly plan, with taking the business plan, taking it step by step, and that's part of the business plan is you're trying to understand the entire concept, right? Because it's a lot of moving parts and you don't want to try to keep that all in your head. So you're writing it down in a business plan, you're tapping into resources like the ones we had on the first part, and the Maine International Trade Center is certainly a wonderful resource that's specifically geared for this, right? That's one of the missions of the Trade Center. So definitely able to use that. And I think in part 3, we're also going to get a little further into that STEP grant, I believe, and how to access that maybe, and any other kind of funding that might be available to exporters to help open those doors, and what to expect as well from the bank. Today we had a great presentation on just the different kind of thoughts that you had to put into shipping. And if I saw correctly, if it's a one-off, that you can kind of get by with maybe UPS and some of the other larger shippers. But if you're talking about setting up some kind of relationship where you're shipping things constantly, that's when you might want to look at getting a freight forwarder or a professional to help you out and actually get them on your team. But as we said, when you have a question, there's resources available for you to go out and find. Either it's Small Business Development Center, SBA, MITC, the Maine International Trade Center. I always say MITC, and sometimes people don't know what that means, but MITC. So we're out there to help you. So if there's any other questions, I don't think we have any other questions, but if there is, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, thank you for coming.